Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another one of our weekly Haikyu to the Top discussion videos. And today we are here to talk all about episode 4, Take It Easy. I'm not talking to you, that's actually the title of the episode, although you should also take it easy. And before you ask, yes, it is relevant to the show, we'll get into it. But before we do, I do want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At Mr. A4769, at Clockwork Cams, at Deep Not That Deep, at FireOtaku845, at Red Rabbit 5, and at Clear Chicken. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video, everybody, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Haikyu to the Top video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so it is once again time to bop to the top as we talk about Haikyu to the Top. I already made that joke. I don't know why it still makes me laugh. Anyway, there are two things to really get into in regards to this week's episode. Obviously, Take It Easy is kind of an element in the actual episode itself, taking place mostly within Hinata's camp, although I will say that Kageyama's camp could learn to take it easy. Now, speaking of Kageyama, we're going to start there because when this season started, I was under the impression that Hinata would be the one who was really struggling and really having a hard time and was really pushed to his limits as he's being restricted, right? But actually, Hinata's ended up having a pretty solid time at his training camp that he was not invited to. And it turns out that Kageyama is actually the one who is having a difficult time. Now, this isn't too surprising. We know that Kageyama is sort of a hothead at times and sort of awkward at other times, and by sort of, I mean very much so. And I had a feeling he would be pushed and tested in his own training camp. After all, it is the All Japan training camp. It's kind of a big deal. But I was genuinely surprised with how much they really push Kageyama. It should be noted that Kageyama does make the effort, right? He actually does try to step up and try to talk to the other members of the All Japan camp. He actually does have a friend there whose name I didn't write down. I don't believe they said it, but he's Broccoli number 2, as Kageyama refers to him as, which, like, ouch. But yeah, he's Broccoli number 2 is what I'm going to call him for this week's video. I'll learn his name next week. I'm sure it's in the comments somewhere. But I like that kid, and I like that he's trying to stick his neck out for Kageyama. Not so much like stick his neck out, but like he's trying to make friends at this camp, and he feels like everybody already kind of trashes on Kageyama, so maybe he'll try to help Kageyama out, be friendly to him, even though Kageyama's kind of oblivious to the whole friend thing, so he just is kind of like eating and hanging out with this dude. He's like, sure, you can be my friend. And Kageyama, again, like I said, to his credit, he is trying. He is actually talking and being open to the other students in All Japan. He's making an active effort to talk to, like, say, Broccoli number 2, right? When they're on the court, he's like, hey, how was the setup? Like, do you want me to change anything? And Broccoli number 2, God, I really need to learn that dude's name, says, if you can make it a little bit more, if you could set up the ball to be a little bit more, like, zippy and sort of, like, fiery, like, then I can actually hit it faster, so that would help me, and that would help you as the setter to set me up. So I do think that's interesting. Kageyama continues to ask others around him, like, hey, what do you need me to do? Like, hey, do you think you could, when you receive the ball, do you think you could, like, put it nice and high so that by the time I get to it, it's a little bit easier for me? You think you could do that? Like, actively asking the other members. I was genuinely proud of him. I actually thought he was breaking out of his shell a little bit. Not that he's in a shell, but Kageyama's just sort of awkward. He's not a very social dude, so to see him trying to be social and trying to work within this weird amalgam of players, because it's not really a team as much as just sort of like an assembly of players, and he's trying, like a group of rivals, essentially, trying to learn what he can and be as open as he can. Although that's the difference, I will say, is that Hinata feels, at least the way it seems, I feel as though Hinata has actually learned quite a bit more than Kageyama has at his All Japan training camp. Kageyama's getting top training, and yet I feel like it's Hinata so far who is the one walking away getting the most skills, like gaining the most new abilities. and abilities like it's a friggin' shonen battle series. Anyway, it kind of is. Most sports anime kind of are shonen battle-y, but I gotta say, speaking of shonen battles, there's no better thing in a shonen series than a rival, right? And when it comes to Kageyama's training camp, this thing is nothing but rivals. If Hinata and Tsuki's training camp is a little bit more like laid back, taking it a little bit more easy, the rivalries are still there, but they're not quite as fiery and intense. Kageyama's is the exact opposite. They are straight up fiery, intense. Everybody's out for themselves, except for the nice dude who was with Sakusa, that brown-haired kid. He was nice, but everybody else is a little shit, or yeah, they're just little shits, the whole lot of them. They're all just out for themselves. They're trying to keep their own best interests in mind. And we see that with Sakusa, who is giving me major Hiyori vibes. And if you don't know what I mean by Hiyori vibes, I mean Hiyori from Free, aka this boy is giving me jealous bitch vibes. Well, I shouldn't say like the exact same sort of jealous bitch vibes that Hiyori gave off. Those jealous vibes are a little bit different if you've seen Dive to the Future, which you should have if you're watching this channel. Dive to the Future is my favorite anime of all time. Yes, I'm serious. And it's not quite the same, but he does strike me as a dude who's like trying to like the other guy says, like he's just jealous of other players. He's like, I'm not jealous, I'm just trying to be prepared. Or, I'm not nervous, I'm just trying to be prepared. I think it was that he was nervous of other players. He's like, I'm not nervous, I'm just trying to be prepared. And like, nah bro, you're nervous. You're very clearly nervous. And my boy's a germaphobe, which like, that's rough, man. Like, being a germaphobe is no joke. I'm not even gonna make a joke about it. That's just a shitty situation, so Sakusa, you have my respect in that regard. That sucks, man. I know people who have that phobia, and it's rough. But, yes, so that's an interesting little tidbit to his character. He is a bit of a dick, so it will take me a little bit to get used to him. I'm not a big fan of the standoffish, jerky characters. Unless their name is Tsukishima, and then it's not even like it stops there, because then Atsumu, who I'm going to call Atsumu because I believe his full name is Miyu Atsumu, but Atsumu just sounds cooler, so we're gonna call him that for now. Atsumu is purposely trying to get under Kageyama's skin. Like, Sakusa wasn't trying to get under his skin as much as he was trying to get info, but Atsumu, this dude's trying to get under Kageyama's skin. With one line, just like, I thought you, just trying to be like, oh, I thought you'd be more prickly, but I guess, like, you're just a goody two-shoes, stuff like that. Like, trying to say things to make Kageyama slip up, since he's the other setter in the group. So of course there's gonna be that rivalry, like, oh, you're a setter, I'm a setter too, and I'm a better setter than you. Like, so you can see that happening right now, like Kageyama getting tested by this dude. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I like that dynamic. I want to see more of Atsumu versus Kageyama. It feels like Kageyama just does not get along with other setters unless they're Suga. Like, unless they're Suga, Kageyama just don't like other setters. Like, that's just point blank. The other dude that we get to see is, I didn't write his name down. I'm dumb. Owl Boy. Owl Boy, as I will be referring to him. Holy hell, this dude gave me straight up Hinata vibes. I will go into it more next week. I didn't write the name down. I didn't check Sakugaboru. I am a fool. I wanted to look up who animated this dude's friggin' Spike, but Owl Boy, God, I feel bad about not getting his name. Owl Boy jumps with the speed and grace of Hinata, but with 10 times the power. Like that ball comes spiking down with the power of Zeus. Like, dang, Owl Boy is no joke, man. Like, he really did give me Hinata vibes. And the whole bird motif with him, he really does remind me of an owl, I'm telling you. That bird motif sort of fits, right? Because Hinata's a crow, since all of the Karasuno gang are like crows, so this dude's an owl. And owls are like kind of like top predators, you know? So this dude's really gunning for Karasuno. He's gunning for that little giant kind of status, because he's not quite the tallest dude around either. He does give me huge Hinata vibes. I would love to see Hinata meet up with Owl Boy, and when they do, I will know his name. But that's basically all I can really say about Kageyama's training camp. It really does feel like he's surrounded by enemies. He's not learning quite as much. He feels like he's having a harder time than Hinata, who isn't even technically supposed to be at his training camp. And let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Hinata's training camp, since I am running a little bit short on time here. One of the biggest things that happens in the first year's training camp that Hinata has hijacked is that Suki actually does join the training camp. So that whole little cliffhanger from last week, it wasn't like a one-on-one training session. It was Suki basically asking, can I train with you guys after hours? So Hinata gets all excited and tells the others like, oh my god, Suki's gonna train with us! Ah! Because Suki just wants like some blocking practice, right? And he knows that Hinata is really able to kind of read blockers, right? So he wants to get that practice in on him. And it's funny too, because Hinata has this moment where he's like, hey, did you ask to have some, like, to practice blocking with us just so I could get some spikes? And right away, Suki's like, no, I did not. I didn't do that. And with the swiftness of that no, I'm gonna have to assume that some part of him did do that. I know that's foolish, and it's more likely that Suki really just wanted to get that practice in, and he wanted to get some practice specifically against Hinata. But I do feel like on some level he's like, we are a team, even though I hate to admit it, but we are a team, and you need practice just as much as I do, so if we do blocking practice, it means that you can have some time spiking the ball and getting better at that. So, sure, let's do that. However, the thing that I really want to talk about is the fact that my new boy, Goshiki, once again goes in full force. Because, like, when Suki has this moment where he gets, like, sort of cocky, right? Goshiki, like, Hinata's getting excited, right? And Goshiki does this, like, thing. And he gets the attention of the others. And he's basically saying, like, yo, it's my turn now. And Goshiki is really goddamn clever, because this dude comes in and sort of runs in this arc, right? He runs to the left a little bit and then comes back in towards the right, kind of on the left-hand side of the net. And this dude jumps up, and it looks like he's going to do a cross serve. I believe it's just like a cross spike. Serve? What am I saying? He's going to spike across, basically. He's going to spike across the court. And instead, this dude spikes straight on, that Goshiki straight spike move that we've seen in previous episodes. This dude strikes it down with the power of Thanos, because I said the power of Zeus already. But he strikes it down hard, and Hinata catches it. My boy's getting swift, man. I'm proud of him. And there's this moment where Hinata's like, whoa, that was awesome. And Goshiki's like, yeah, bitch, that's right. It was awesome. And he sort of smirks at Suki. And now listen, I know that it was not meant to be a shippy scene. In fact, there should have been no reason for it to be shippy. But to me, that was Goshiki being like, hey, Hinata, you see that shit? That was cool, right? Like, that was Goshiki being like, yeah, that's right. You see that? I'm badass. Hinata, what do you think about that? Hinata, you want to go out for a cup of tea later? You want to go out for some boba, man? Like, it's cute as shit. Like, listen, Kageyama, you better reunite with your boy quickly, because I might be moving on, man. Like, this ship might be sailing. Your ship might be sinking, and this ship might be sailing. The biggest thing, though, that Hinata observes in this week's episode, and it's likely probably the biggest part of the episode, and unfortunately I am running out of time. My timer's already going off, so I'm gonna have to keep this brief, but it is the whole crux of the episode. Take it easy, right? We get Hinata learning to sort of take it easy from Kunimi, who is buddies with the guy who Kageyama used to go to school with. Sorry, again, I forgot to write people's names down. There's a lot of characters in Haikyu, okay? It's hard to keep everybody's name straight. But Hinata notices that Kunimi, whatever you want to say, he is the sort of player who won't really... He's sort of like the... Oroki of the Haikyu world, right? Where he sort of takes it easy, doesn't put in any more energy than he has to, and a lot of the other players see that as lazy, right? A lot of players calling him out, like our boy from Date Tech, saying like, you don't even like you didn't even go for the ball. Like, we should all be chasing after the ball, man. Like, you had that, you could have easily gotten that, but you didn't do it. And Kunimi's just like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, don't worry about it. And basically, it comes off as lazy to the other players, but what Hinata grasps is that Kunimi is actually saving that energy. He's using it sparingly so that when he needs to, when he really, really needs to, he can, like, jump out full force. And one of the ways that he does this is to hit the ball up in the air as high as he possibly can to break up the momentum of the game, because volleyball is a friggin' fast-ass game. So if you hit the ball way the hell up high, you actually give yourself and your fellow teammates a moment to breathe. So that's how Kunimi plays, and Hinata spots this. And Hinata, being the good lad that he is, he doesn't just take this in and is like, yes, I will keep this to myself. This is knowledge for me. No, Hinata sees another best boy contender, big man Hyakuzawa. He sees our boy down on his luck. Hyakuzawa is apparently, like, he's got the reach, he's got the height, but he's somebody that Washijo would love, but his skills just aren't quite there yet. He's more on like a junior high level. He's still relatively new to the game, so he's not able to keep up with the other first years quite as well. And it starts to really wear on him, and inadvertently this man says, I wish you were invited instead of me. And that hit hard, because I was like, damn. Like not only is that heavy for this dude, because I was like, that sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear that. But the fact that Hinata also like didn't need to hear that, but Hinata being the friggin' best boy, the goodest boy in all of sports anime, this dude takes that and he goes, okay, so I'm gonna assume that you slipped up, and that what you meant was, I wish the two of us were both invited to camp, because there's no way I just heard you say that. And like Hinata basically cheers this dude up by saying like, hey man, you have something that I wish I had. You have height. Do you have any idea what a couple extra inches on your height means for you, man? Like I just realized what a couple extra inches sounded like for a second. Do you have any idea what that means? Do you have any idea what being tall in this game means? Like Hinata like hyping this dude up, being like, man, you got this. You lack the technique right now, but you'll gain that, man. But right now you need to take in, embrace what you have, what you bring to this game, and show that to the others. And what you have right now, while you don't have the technique, you have the height. So show off that height. And he gets Hyakuzawa to knock the ball way the hell up in the air. This man learned from Kunimi and then turned that around and taught that to big man Hyakuzawa. And big man Hyakuzawa got himself a big spike, and it was hype as hell. And this is what I'm talking about, man. This is the Haikyu hypeu, man. Like, I got that several times. We got that with Owlboy, we got that with Goshiki, and we get that with big man Hyakuzawa. And it was glorious. I went way over time. My timer went off a while ago. I've been trying to keep these videos short, but damn it, I had a lot to say about in regards to this week's episode. And I love this, man, because I really like seeing the dynamic, the split between Kageyama and Hinata. I was so worried about splitting the team up, but you know what? It's only done wonders to grow each of them as characters. I want to spend more time, like we got to spend more time with Kageyama this episode. I want to spend more time with Karasuno next episode. If I could dictate to the guys over at Production IG, which I shouldn't, but like, yeah, I want to spend some time a little bit more time with Karasuno next week, because I miss those guys. But yeah, the difference between Kageyama's time at his camp versus Hinata and his camp, it's wild. Kageyama, I probably made him the thumbnail because this man is like, this is the real Mr. Struggle. If I could quote Cody Ko, this man is the real Mr. Struggle right now. Goddamn. With that said, everybody, I'm going to wrap up my thoughts here. I'm not going to give a rating, but I will say that I may have a rating for tomorrow's video. I have an idea of what I want to turn that into, so stay tuned, I guess, for that. All in all, this was a fan-friggin-tastic episode, and I loved it to bits. And hopefully you were as hyped as I was. And that's going to do it for today's video, everybody, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and before we go, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks over on Patreon, especially those in the Earl Grey tier: Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Ionos, Urza, Ginkutaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Sipco Games, Somastan, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Verdon. A huge thank you to all of you in the T Squadron for your continued support, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, see all the cool rewards you can get over there, as well as access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with that said, we're going to wrap up today's video, everybody, so thank you all once again for watching, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.